Hi everyone, welcome to join me in this video on the introduction of the WISE-PaaS architecture. My name is Stanley and I'm a solution architect at Advantech. To begin with, I would like to talk about the technologies involved when implementing an IoT solution, exemplified by the vertical blue box on this slide. And from the bottom red box, we have edge devices and sensors that we want to collect data from. These edge devices are often connected to sensing devices such as Advantech's gateways and protocol converters. And the data are collected and stored on IPCs running different kinds of software solutions such as Advantech's Web Access, Video Sense, Edge Link, etc. And this is typically what's happening on the edge side, or you may think of this as the shop floor side of an IoT solution implementation. So now the IT personnel wants to use these data to do useful applications. So the first hurdle for them is the integration of data from various sites that could have implemented different edge data solutions that sometimes involve different hardware technologies that requires knowledge that software developers lack. So this creates silos or localized systems, and that creates the IT-OT gap as a dashed line on the slide. And this complicates the application design at the higher level. And eventually this leads to the next hurdle for the solution developers that the solution they created cannot be easily scaled with the expansion of the edge data network. So WISE-PaaS is designed to overcome this IT-OT gap by providing a data platform for the developers to be able to create IoT applications and solution-ready packages for different use cases more easily without having to worry about how data are collected. So the main pillars of WISE-PaaS to support this IoT solution development are shown here. First being the connectivity. How do we make connectivities to different edge devices and sensors easier? And second, the device management. We would like to provide a nice device management solution on the platform. So when the developers, they are trying to interface it with a new gateway or to collect data from new sensor, those devices can be easily managed from a platform perspective. And then very importantly is the data infrastructure. We would like to provide a unified data infrastructure that abstracts away the complexity of the edge device network for the application developers. So all they need to know is there is a common source for data for the applications that they're trying to create. And then next on the platform, we have looked into supporting machine learning, which means how do we provide features that allows the developers or in this case data scientists to be able to quickly get insights from the data that they are collecting from various sites and to do useful applications. And with IoT, Advantech here, we believe that the fundamentals of having an IoT infrastructure is to support data analysis, for example, AI applications. So we think this is very important that the platform has a good support from the infrastructure's perspective to allow machine learning applications or data scientists to be easily access this data. And then lastly is the application enablement, which means to allow developers to be easily creating solutions and applications on the platform. And this means that the platform needs to support modern ways of architecturing their software, as well as allowing the developers to be able to use any kinds of programming languages and frameworks that they are used to. And in this application environment pillar, we have take another extra step to ensure that the solutions that our developers create on the platform are business ready. So on WISE-PaaS, we have looked into the support for multi-tenancy, as well as metering and billing for the developers to be able to track the computing resource consumptions of their services, and as well with single sign-on, which we have implemented on the platform to greatly enhance the user experience when they are working with various solutions from different vendors on our platform. And lastly, we have a marketplace on WISE-PaaS, which allows the creators of these solution-ready packages or these wonderful applications to be able to gain business attractions through our marketplace and offer their solutions to more of Advantech's WISE-PaaS ecosystem partners. Okay, so let's look into the architecture of WISE-PaaS. So the bottom layer is the edge intelligence layer, which is supported by Advantech's existing edge data collection solutions, such as web access for interfacing with machineries and working with different kinds of protocols to get data from edge devices. And the same is Edge Link. And we also have solutions called Device On and Edge Sense, which deals with the remote device management. In other words, the IPC management, so the user can remotely monitor and control the operation status of these devices and do programs or firmware updates to these devices remotely. And then we have Video Sense, which takes in video streams as a form of data for analysis, or for example, under Video Sense, we have human detection AIs to work with some introductory AOI solutions. And also, we have looked into Edge X Foundry and to allow integrations with Edge Foundry's microservices architectures. And especially we're looking into the device profiles under Edge X Foundry, again, to allow a greater flexibilities for the developers to integrate with various hardware choices at the edge. Okay. And next, once the data is collected from the edge devices on our platform, the first point of entry for data is our IoT hub. And it's a message queue implemented using RabbitMQ. It takes MQTT or MMQP or other protocols supported by RabbitMQ. And our platform is a cloud agnostic platform, meaning that it can be deployed on public cloud infrastructure such as Azure, AWS, or in China, Aliyun, and in Spirit Cloud. And also we can take the exact same platform and develop it on top of private cloud settings such as OpenStack infrastructure. And the benefit of this is for the developers to be able to deploy the same solutions on public cloud, as well as if their clients require deploy on private cloud on premise for such use case. And once these data are collected and sent to the IoT hub, and we then can create applications to subscribe or retrieve these data and then put it into the database services offered on WISE-PaaS. And currently on WISE-PaaS, we are offering, we're supporting relational databases such as Postgres, SQL, as shown on the slide. and no SQL databases, MongoDB, and time series database, InfluxDB here. And on this slide, it's worth mentioning that on our OpenStack private cloud configurations, we have adopted a set as the storage management service for our private cloud client. Okay, and once we have our data in the data infrastructure, the users can then create their applications using our platform, which is based on Cloud Foundry. And Cloud Foundry is an open source platform, but here at Advantech, we have taken this great open source platform, which supports microservices software architectures, and allows elastic scaling of the application. And also by the design itself, the platform guarantees high availability of the running applications for our developers. So which simplifies a lot of the design considerations for our developers. And on the right hand side, the customer management portion is the software services that we have created and to enhance the platform about Cloud Foundry itself. So again, Muti-Tenancy, metering and billing, single sign-on, these are some of the services that we have created and integrated on top of Cloud Foundry to allow business-ready applications on WISE-PaaS. And a little bit on multi-tenancy on WISE-PaaS. So there are developers that are developing a solution on WISE-PaaS. Under WISE-PaaS, we have the concept of organization and spaces. And organizations, it's a set of users grouped together for management purposes. So in analogy, you can think of organizations as different companies or different accounts. So if we have a client that wants to use WISE-PaaS, we will have, when we create an account for such users on WISE-PaaS, it means creating an organization for this particular user. And then this user can create spaces under the company's organization, which is the abstractions for the organization to organize their applications and services. So in other words, if a company have different development teams, then each teams can have their own spaces to do their development, so that the data or the databases that they're working on won't interfere with each other, to keep the data integrity and to keep that separate, clean separations of the development spaces. Okay, and on our platform, we make resource consumptions highly visible for the developers or the platform administrators down to the space level. On the right hand side of this slide shows some of the typical multi-tenancy use cases, which are all supported by WISE-PaaS. So again, these are very common scenarios that business applications would face, and it's important to note that although the platform does have mechanisms to support all these, but it's ultimately down to the application's design itself to implement mechanisms to support multi-tenant access. And then again, the platform, for example, the DB services offered by platform supports all of these three different types of multi-tenancy scenarios. Okay, here are some of the example views of the management backend that our developers or our users will see once they log into their WISE-PaaS account. So we provide informations like how many applications is running or how many services is being subscribed to the platform, and what are the computing resource consumptions status is like, and is the applications running or not. And it's worth noting that managing the execution of applications is very easy on our platform. It's as simple as a flick of the switch to turn an application on and off. And here it shows the metering views for the computing resource consumptions in different spaces. So again, we can see that we on the platform by default it separates resource consumption views into daily, monthly, or two-day view, and we provide charts and as well as the table format for the users to quickly understand what's the current consumption looks like. And to begin developing a WISE-PaaS, or to get a better feel of what kind of functionalities or how to use some of the functions on WISE-PaaS, these are the two main resources that our developers can refer to. Knowledge Portal provides training videos and courses, and Technical Portal it provides written documentations, and also the Technical Portal is where the users log into their WISE-PaaS space management backend. Okay, so on top of the core platform, which is called Foundry, and our added customer management features, the users can then create applications on top of the platform. And for us at Advantech, we think that there are three categories that we think it's very important for an IoT solution, namely the visualization and asset performance management and machine learning, as shown in the previous slide where we show the pillars of the core WISE-PaaS support. So for the users to be able to quickly visualizing their data on the platform, we have built our dashboard applications on WISE-PaaS, which the developers can leverage and to use dashboards, to use WISE-PaaS dashboard to quickly draw and lay out for the kind of dashboard that fits their scenario. And under visualizations, we actually have two components. The first is SAS Composer, which allows the users to create HMI-like interface to show process data that has relationship or showing data that relates to a workflow. And users can also do 3D environment mappings on SAS Composer. And the other one is Dashboard, which is more like Tableau in some sense, that it provides a more traditional statistical metrics like trends and charts dashboard for the users. And the second part is asset performance management, which deals mostly with how the connected devices are managed. And we'll talk a little bit more about this later. And lastly is the AI framework services, or what we call AFS. And it provides a nice AI machine learning model training workflow management system for machine learning model developers to be able to quickly using the data that I have collected onto WISE-PaaS to do some model training. Okay, a little bit more on APM. So what APM is essentially it's a service that we have created on WISE-PaaS that helps the developers to be able to quickly manage the devices that they have connected and collecting data from. on the platform. So as you can see on the middle section where it says APM PaaS service, here we can see some of the different function blocks. So first being the asset model, which is which provides APIs and libraries for the users to be able to create a digitalized version of the device that they want to manage on the platform. And within this model, they can define some parameters that needs to be associated with the model, such as what kind of data will this device collect, and what are some of the event and alarm triggers for these models. And also we can create a topology relationship between the models under APM service. And then the next functional block is mashup, which deals with how this digitalized model of a device would interact with external systems, such as MES or ERP, to do information exchange. And then we have the typical rule engine for some of the rule-based access or rule-based event triggering, as you can see, event and alarm definitions, etc. And on here, we are showing that we have greatly integrated these APM features with our existing WISE-PaaS services, so that when the users use APM to manage their devices, it makes it very easy for them to use our other services function triggered by this digitalized model residing in the APM service. So with this core APM services, on top, the users can then develop their applications based on APM, and which Advantech here we have built a couple as an example. For example, on the top, we have created preventative maintenance applications and predictive maintenance app, as well as performance optimization app. And these features are using the asset models that the users can define in APM service. Okay, so the typical scenarios of using APM service is, as this slide shows, it's very simple. It's a 3-step process. So first, connecting the device to WISE-PaaS IoT Hub, and then step 2, the user can then log into APM and create the asset profiles for these devices, and then draw the relationship or the hierarchy of these devices, how they link together. And then step 3, once there's a device profile created for the device, inside APM, you will be able to find dashboards automatically generated for this particular device, and you can start seeing the data that is being collected by this device right away. At the very bottom part, we're showing that we also have a mobile app of this APM service that the users can then be able to quickly see the status of their devices on their mobile devices. Okay, so the other two very big part of WISE-PaaS is the AFS and the dashboard and SaaS composer. And for these two parts, I highly encourage the viewers to see our dedicated training videos on this two, or actually on these 3 components, to get a deeper understanding of how they work and what are the use cases or some of the problems that you can solve by leveraging these three services of WISE-PaaS. Okay, and the example use cases of WISE-PaaS, it's actually very straightforward. So for any IoT applicable scenarios, we will have our edge devices that we want to connect and get data from. So that's the first step. We can use some existing data collection solutions. In this example, an IPC running web access to collect data from edge devices, and then sends this data to the platform, to WISE-PaaS. And once this data is passed on to the WISE-PaaS, we will be able to use existing services such as APM to quickly visualize as well as to manage these devices and the data alarming rules associated with it. Or we can use AFS to start doing model training, to work with data, as well as to deploy the model that has been trained on AFS back to the edge device to start doing edge inferences. And lastly, but also very importantly, we will be able to visualize all these data using our dashboarding solutions. And for a developer's perspective, these are some of the considerations that the developers have to think about when working with the platform. So the first is the edge intelligence layer. How are the data being collected? And it doesn't matter what kind of solutions or hardware you're using, but the simplest way to start interacting with the services on WISE-PaaS is to send this data through our IoT hub. And then on the platform level, the developers can then create applications to be executed on the platform that listens to these messages passed onto the IoT hub to work with the database or other WISE-PaaS services such as dashboard, again as an example, to create a nice backend for the IoT solution. And these solutions should then be able to easily integrate with other third-party applications, such as shown on the very top. The other industrial apps will be able to access to your applications on WISE-PaaS through, for example, RESTful APIs. Okay. And this slides here shows the current support system for WISE-PaaS. So for our WISE-PaaS, we have a 24/7 SRE team dedicated to solve any issues that our users might have encountered. And the way that the users can send issue tickets is through website URL link shown here, portal-support.wisepaas.com. So every account has this access to this ticket system, and once you send a ticket through this ticket system, our support personnel will be able to pick it up ASAP and to respond to you as fast as possible. Okay. And with that, this slide concludes with our introduction to the WISE-PaaS architecture. And this slide gives you the overview of the current WISE-PaaS 3.0 architecture. So thank you for viewing this video, and if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us through our knowledge portal or through our QA form, and we're looking for you to join our big WISE-PaaS family. Thank you. Goodbye.